You really might be going to jail, bro. You really might be going to jail. You got the witness and goddamn surveillance footage. Moving on. These two. Can't believe these two out here crying about some paper. Talking about they owe some paper. Let's get into the details. Let's get into the details. So we don't want to speculate. And we using this information due to the copyright disclaimer under the 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, fair use. Allowances is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, common news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Now, as of this morning, because last night the story came out that they were suing them, they didn't get paid. So everybody thought that they didn't get paid none. But as of this morning, 9:38 a.m. Pacific time, which means about noon, 12:30 on the East Coast, right? Today, a rep for Triller just released a statement saying this is not a feud over verses, but simply about earn out payments to SWIZZ and Timbaland. SWIZZ and Timbaland have personally been paid by Triller over $50 million in cash and stock to date, and they stand to benefit even more over time. In addition, they have annual obligations, which, if met and no breach has occurred, entitles them to an additional payments. They continue. Only one payment of $10 million is in question. We do not believe they have met the threshold for that payment yet, which include but are not limited to delivery of a set number of versus events for 2022. We have been trying to resolve this amicably, and this does not affect versus operations or Triller's ownership of versus. If this does proceed in court, we look forward to a judgment that weigh all the facts. So that is saying right there, this part right here, is that, first of all, y'all niggas owe us some more verses. And until y'all give us some more verses, which we only owe y'all $10 million for, we ain't paying y'all until y'all give us all the rest of the verses. 2022 ain't over. And SWIZZ and them probably have problems like a mother trying to get these verses. That's why they keep doing these whack ass verses, like that B2K one, with niggas up there eating watermelon and shit. SWIZZ BEATZ and Timbaland created a super popular rap battle show, and now they're doing legal battle with the company to which they sold their idea in the form of a $28 million lawsuit. Look how they got niggas up here fighting. Yeah, that's embarrassing. The big time music producers are suing Triller, claiming the video sharing social networking service failed to pay up the cash cow SWIZZ and Timbaland dreamed up. Versus. According to the lawsuit obtained by TMZ, SWIZZ and Timbaland agreed to sell verses to Triller back in January 2021. But they say Triller defaulted on the deal after only 2 payments. SWIZZ and Timbaland said they settled with Triller after the initial default, but they said Triller played the same game as before, making one installment and then not paying up the remaining balance. The music moguls are going after Triller for more than $28 million plus interest. We reached out to Triller. So far, no word back. But that was last night. So when they came back this morning, Triller said, this is not a feud over verses, but simply about earned out payments to SWIZZ and Timbaland. SWIZZ and Timbaland personally have been paid by Triller over $50 million in cash stock, and they stand to benefit even more over time. In addition, they have annual obligations which, if met, are no breach has occurred entitled to these additional payments. They continue. Only one payment of $10 million is in question. We do not believe they have met the threshold for that payment yet, which include but are not limited to delivery of a set of number of versus events for 2022. Okay. So what has happened here, y'all, is these dudes sold they joint. They probably waiting for some back end money, allegedly. But for them to get that back end money, they got to give up X amount of what you call it verses. So let's say for 2022 they got to give them 20 verses. You know, the one with B2K and all of them. Let's say if that was 15 for the year, which I don't even think they did 10 for the year. Let's just say that was 15. They still got 5 more verses before they meet that threshold for them to get the other 10 million that's promised to them. So if they don't give X amount of verses to Triller, if they can't book X amount of verses, then they don't get the money. Should they have took 50 million for verses? I don't know if I would have sold it for 50 million that fast. I think they probably making way more money than that now. Like 50 million. You can make 50 million probably off of 10, off of 5 verses, with 10 making 10 million off each verses through sponsorship and sales and merch, and I don't know. I mean, maybe it was a quick lick. Wasn't gonna work. They probably figured, yo, the pandemic over. You know, let's just grab this money and go.